So, you're about to hear a conversation that I had with Cameron McLean, who is a medium and a psychotherapist who came to his work via a previous career in engineering. I think you'll find this conversation really nurturing because what stood out about Cameron isn't just his skill as a medium or as a psychotherapist, but it's really his ability to see through kind of reality or truth or the person and to see underneath to the soul and something really authentic about the soul. So many mediums, can relay messages. But what I discovered in our conversation is that Cameron really gets this piece of it that the purpose of our human lives, of our human incarnations, if you will, is really to be the most authentic self you can be. And he manages to speak about the human journey and the soul's mission in a way that has both incredible grounding as well as really relevant spiritual insight. So join me, and I hope you enjoy it as much as I did. Welcome, Cameron, to the Shattering Place.
Thank you for having me. Yeah, I'm really excited to be here.
Just to give a quick intro, so Cameron McLean is a medium and psychotherapist who helps people understand themselves, their relationships, their patterns through a blend of psychic mediumship and psychotherapy and counseling. So quite a unique combination. And I just love to start with asking how you got into this work.
Yeah, well, starting at the end, really. As I think about it now, where to start. I mean, I got into this work slowly and painfully, I would say. It took me a little while to wake up to the fact that I could maybe do some of this kind of psychic mediumship work with people. And yeah, I guess it's where to start? Should I start? I'll start at the beginning. That might be easier.
Yeah, because I think so because I know from earlier tests that your background was in quite like engineering-y kind of. You came
Mm,
from a totally different world. You had a Catholic upbringing, you had a very materialist paradigm. Like as you say, it seems to have really found you. But yeah, tell us that.
yeah. Um, as you say, brought up a Catholic. Um, I kind of I couldn't say whether I believed it or not really growing up, but I just kind of went along for the ride as most
Mm.
kids do. Went to night classes for Catholic school, and but eventually, as I kind of grew up, I got a lot more into sciences. I got a lot more into logic. I fell into that path really of using my head an awful lot to
Mm.
try and steer me through life. I think maybe a product of school and academia as well. You're kind of naturally led in that direction. And as I discovered kind of science and engineering, I find myself in a very logical place and surrounded by lots of people of a similar mindset as well, and
Mm.
naturally started to gravitate my beliefs towards a science-based belief system, and it became this idea: if you can't see it, then I don't believe it. I'll believe it when I see it, kind
Yeah.
of thing. And so I would say I was an atheist for quite a considerable period in my life as well. I mean, things then started to get quite tough. I'm not saying the two are directly linked necessarily, but it's definitely possible. And yeah, I found myself getting quite unwell, doing better and better in my career. I worked in engineering companies and aircraft engineering companies. I found myself getting to an
Wow.
executive level as well. But my personal health was declining rapidly. There were
Uh-huh.
addictions coming into the scene, and yeah, it all kind of came to a head about, well, I don't know, 10 years ago now, when my body kind of just failed. I ended up in
Uh,
hospital, and I had to take a real long, hard look at my life, and what I was doing and what was going on.
yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember I was sitting with the doctor in the hospital, and he said, I think you're quite stressed, and I was so stressed that I couldn't hear that properly. Like I got stressed at
Yeah,
him. I was
yeah.
thinking, I'm not stressed. Are you joking? Like, what do you mean I'm stressed? He's like, well, you work in all these long hours. You've got this very long commute that I had at the time, and it feels like you're a bit sensitive. And I was, it was like me. I'm not sensitive. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I was so kind of embedded in this way of life that so many people are embedded in today.
It's life. Yeah.
Yeah, I just couldn't get my claws off of it really.
Yeah.
They had to.
Well, that's
I
the
feel like,
normal. That's how people live. We don't think there's anything wrong with that. I mean, we're raised to have that life, right? So it's like I'm doing all the right things. What do you mean stress? Yeah. And then it takes a
mm,
toll then on your body.
yeah, absolutely, and especially when you're not listening to your body, which I
Mm.
definitely wasn't, just living all up in my head. Um,
Yeah.
And so, yeah, one thing led to another. I started to think about. Obviously, I went to my own therapy after that, as I thought, I've got to try something here, something different. And one thing led to another, and decided to start trying to find some more joy in my life. Try to find some more
Mm.
things I actually bring me some happiness, and discovered,
Yeah.
rediscovered my love of music, and decided I wanted to give something back to people as well. And that's where this all, to answer your question originally, the long-winded way, that's where this all started. I signed up to a volunteering charity for a suicide hotline, and
Okay.
I just loved it. I just absolutely loved
Mm.
it. And one of the
Mm.
conditions of volunteering for them was that you had to volunteer a night shift once a month, and that was going to be the hardest part. But even then, it didn't bother me. I loved it. I loved getting out of bed at 1 in the morning to go and join some phone calls with people who were really vulnerable and in need of help.
Yeah.
And it was
That's
kind of through. Sorry.
I mean, that's amazing to me that that's such a contrast, right? Because you did this engineering work that's really logically oriented and, and but all along you must have had an innate capacity to sit with people that you would love it so much, It wasn't something you were trained to do. You just felt that ease of being with people and that connection. That had you suspected that was there underneath the surface the whole time?
Possibly, but not really in kind of deep awareness.
Mm.
When I was thinking about things in life that bring me joy, and it's something I help other people with as well. It's something we can do now. Um,
Mm.
I was kind of thinking back to childhood. When hopefully for most of us, childhood is a simpler time than adulthood. I know it's not the case for everybody, but it was trying to look back on a time when things were simpler, and it was trying to
Mm.
find what were those key moments for me, and I was going to say for you, and we, as I say, we can do this now, and anyone listening can do this now.
Mm.
What were those key moments for you where time really slowed down?
Mm.
Where you found your flow, where you could sit down and maybe do something for an hour and it would feel like 5 minutes, or 4 hours and it would feel like 15 minutes. Anything come to mind?
Yeah, swinging. I love to swing. I just swing on my grandmother's swing set and I'd sing songs from musicals like at the top of my lungs. Annie was a favorite. Um I
Fantastic.
could just do it for literally for hours. I something about the motion and reading.
Mm.
Also picking up bugs and I'd collect little flower petals and make my own potions. But yeah, it seems like childhood, yeah, so many things. But swinging was one of my favorite things.
Yeah, fantastic. Sounds really therapeutic. You've got almost
Yes.
this somatic
Mm,
swinging of the body and the
mm,
singing to kind of release those emotions, release all that joy and tension. And
yeah.
yeah, fantastic. And yeah, I was thinking during that time for myself that I had moments where people would share something really private with me
Mm.
through my life, and I couldn't put my finger. I could tell you now. I think I've got a better idea of it, but at the time, I couldn't tell you what was going on. But I just knew time stopped, and this could be that they just told me something, and it took less than a minute to say it. But for me, something profound shifted. I just time stopped. I
Mm.
just I don't know how can I put it, like a moment of complete alignment, mind, body, soul alignment.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess when
Does
you're
that make
telling
sense?
something personal to someone, you're dropping your ego, you're dropping, everything. It's that in that vulnerability, it's like you're there's that authenticity, and it's intimate, isn't it? It kind of
Mm.
collapses time in a way. It's just you, one soul to the other, going, you know what? Like, I'm more than I appear. There's something else here.
Yeah. Yeah, I love the way you say that as well, collapsing time, and it almost like this is all that there is right now in this
Mm.
moment. It's just the me and you kind of connection. So
Mm.
that was an intrigue I'd had to kind of volunteering in this charity. I mean, also, I
Yeah.
guess at work as well, I was much more drawn to people than to the engineering work that we were doing. Always really drawn to one-to-one conversations with people.
Mm.
As a line manager, a lot of my best moments were the mentoring and the coaching with people. So that there was something brewing, something going on, and all the while it was also had me thinking, I don't really fit in here. I don't think I fit in here
Mm.
because when push comes to shove, people are getting really excited about, you know, critical measurements, the yeah,
Yeah.
the component materials in an item, whether it was plastic or metal, and it's all really good. And we need people who have those passions. And I'm so glad and so grateful for those people who do have those passions, because we need them in society. But it wasn't me.
Wasn't
It
you?
wasn't. It wasn't the bit that excited
No.
me. And
Fair enough.
yeah, so, sometimes in corporations, they have to make difficult decisions around, say, product performance and profits and people,
Yeah.
and I really found that would really alter my whole perception of work when some of those difficult decisions came around with people management, or maybe it was things weren't handled
Yeah.
very well. So yeah,
Hmm.
as getting back to your question, the kind of doing the telephone calls, sticking with people during their darkest moments. I noticed something happening in me, which was my heart would start to glow. Is about the only way I can put it.
Hmm.
Start to get really warm in the chest, and
Hmm.
it just felt wonderful. Almost felt like I was on drugs, and I and I wasn't on drugs, for the record.
Yeah.
And I discovered I wanted to take that further, because the frustrating thing about the phone calls, in a way, is once they hang up the phone, because it's completely anonymous, there's no way of ever finding out, how the story ends,
Ah,
and
yeah, of course.
you want to call them a week later and just say, how are you
Yeah.
getting on? We had a deep
Mm.
conversation the other night. There's no way of kind of building those relationships.
Wow. Yeah.
Very occasionally, you might get the same caller that you had before, but even more rare that they would specifically remember you and bring it up. So yeah, decided to go
Mm.
into counseling and psychotherapy.
Wow.
And yeah, I got into that about 7 years ago now. I run a practice, helping people with that, and it's the same kind of process along that way. Just found my emotional sensitivity opening up more and more kind of experiences in my body, my heart opening up
Mm.
more, and decided to speak to a psychic medium ultimately, a few years ago, who
For yourself,
yeah, for myself.
initially. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, for curiosity as well.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, from there, I mean, the first thing she said was, "Oh my goodness, you're going to be doing this," and it was like, "What? No way!" And and then yeah, from there went on to some training, and now I'm doing it kind of yeah, all the time, really.
Yeah. Before you saw the medium, did you have moments I mean, of course, we all have moments. I think, like when you're having a really personal conversation, and your intuition naturally, starts to open, your heart starts to open. But were you noticing that you were having moments what they call that intersubjectivity, that field, the sense that there's more than just two people, there's something else happening? Or were you just not conscious of it at the time?
Yeah, it's a bit of both, and I wish it was a simple answer, really. But it might be a useful answer for people listening, the way I'm going to describe this, because when I was learning to kind of use these skills, what I guess I hadn't really given it much thought. And, without giving it much thought, I was thinking that perhaps I'm going to learn a new, I'm going to start, I don't know, hearing a new voice in my head, or, I'm going to start
Yes.
seeing spirits in the room with me, sitting on the chair, the empty chair opposite me, and all these new experiences are going to happen. But what I realized was that actually we're born with all of it already. So
Mm.
now, for example, when spirit are sending me visual messages, that maybe a spirit will show me how they're looking, the you know, yeah, their hair color, the kind of clothes they're wearing, the height they are.
Mm.
The way they do that is they put it in my mind's eye, as lots of psychics like to call it. But in real
Mm.
world layman's terminology, it's your imagination. That's where they.
Yes, right.
It's the
Yeah.
same place that they put that
Mm.
image in. It's that, if you were to picture a horse eating grass in a field right now, you can do it, right? You can do it. Most people can do it,
Mm.
right? It just pops into your mind as an image in that
Mm.
space. It's similar was happening with feelings. And what was happening as I was helping more people, as this glow up was happening, I was becoming very attuned and very sensitive to other people's feelings.
Mm.
And that's when I discovered that spirit were communicating to me through feelings. I'd always been a sensitive child growing up. I can remember a story my mum would tell me of her like leaving the house when I was about 4 years old, and I'm on her ankle just being dragged across the floor as she's saying, "Come on, we've got to go," and I'm kind of screaming, "No, no, no! I don't want to leave you." And so there was
Yeah.
there was all this like heightened emotional sensitivity in me, and now I couldn't really make sense of that growing up, and you have to do the best you can, and that's where addictions and alcohol and
Mm.
things like that come in over my life to help me try and regulate some of that intensity. But now I look at it and I realize, oh, that's my gift, that's my one of my
Yeah.
strengths, that's one of my assets, is my emotional sensitivity. So now
Mm.
when I connect with spirits and I connect with people in a therapy setting, and through readings, spirit are showing me all the feelings, how the spirits feel, how the person in the chair in front of me is feeling,
Oh,
and there's a lot of information encoded into emotions, and
yeah. Do you feel it? Is that how you know it? Do you feel in your body what the spirit is feeling or what the client is feeling, or do they show you in another way?
yeah, both. So I mean, for example, I could be halfway through a reading with somebody, and I'm just, say, I don't know, their grandfather showed up, and their grandfather wants to talk about their life a bit.
Mm.
We'll be in a happy place, and then all of a sudden I'll just get this wave of sadness come across me,
Oh.
almost like a wave of grief and maybe some regret and shame. And at that point I have to kind of turn to him and say, okay, we've changed direction now, where are we going here? And then the words will come. He might be saying something like, I'm really sorry, I wasn't really there for you, I could have done better, as an
Mm.
example. And combined with the emotions, it's the two signals together when they match. That's how I know
Yeah.
I've got something, that's valid.
That's valid. So many questions. Like, so when you started to do the mediumship, was there like a moment where you were like, "Oh, this is real. Like I've got someone here with me. This is happening." Or was it kind of more subtle? in the sense that you realized, oh, like it's always been here, and now you were refining your instrument, so to speak.
Yeah, yeah. Thanks. You did ask me that question earlier.
Did I?
Let's. Yeah, yeah. Apologies, it's me going around in circles. Let me
I don't
stick with
remember.
it.
That's okay.
So I had maybe I could have never have done this without the help of a psychic medium. Genuinely, I would have just never. I was living my life the way I'd always lived it. I needed somebody else to just give me that nudge to say there might
Mm,
be something different going on inside of you here that you're not quite aware of. Someone to give me the language, to make sense of what was
mm.
happening.
Yeah.
But there's two moments in particular where it started to come true. And I had clients, two separate clients in psychotherapy, and they were grieving their, I can't remember exactly who it was, but let's say it's a parent
Yeah.
each.
They're agreeing. Yeah.
And I remember one moment specifically, the client was getting very intense with their emotions, which is a good thing in therapy. And during that moment, I just had this sense that the mother that she was talking about was in the room with us, and you're going to ask me how did I know, and I don't have a good easy
Yeah,
answer
that's
for you.
okay. Yeah. Yeah.
I It was an image in my mind, and just a sense, and I'll describe that more in a second, but it was like they went like this: I'm here. It was like they
Yeah.
matched the intensity of the person in therapy who
Yeah.
was grieving them, and
Yeah.
they just kind of. And so the image was in my mind that they were doing this. And the way I could say I knew they were in the room is, um, I don't know if you're anywhere out in a public setting and you just kind of know somebody's behind you. And what I mean is you might have seen them, you might, I don't know, say that you're queuing up for something
Yeah.
and you watch them join the queue and you just know that they're kind of standing behind you.
Yeah.
And they may move away or not, and you don't turn around, but you just have this sense in your mind that they're behind you. Even if they have moved, you might just still think they're right
You can
behind
feel
you.
it.
You know?
Yeah. There's like a way you can feel it. Yeah.
Yeah, it was that sense of like, oh my
Yeah.
goodness, they're here right now. And yeah, I had a
Yeah.
similar situation with another client, just a sense of like they're screaming at me.
Yeah. The screaming. Are they still screaming? Or was that just initially to get your attention and now they don't need to scream?
Definitely just to get my attention. Yeah.
Yeah.
And when you start to open it, it's a gradual process. It takes time. When you start to open and you put it out there to spirit, you get more and more. A good one I've come across a few times, and it's happened to me as well, is maybe just before going to bed,
Hmm.
when you're kind of just drifting off to sleep. Maybe you hear a whisper, you hear somebody talk to you, maybe somebody says your name, Michelle, right,
Yeah.
right, as you're going off to sleep.
I think I'd jump out of the bed. I'd be like, not in my bedroom. You guys are not allowed in here.
Sure, yeah. And they will respect that, by the way. That's a good
Yeah.
way to put it.
Good.
They will
That's
absolutely
terrifying. Yeah.
respect your wishes. You're always in control throughout all of this. I guess I've been more curious. I've been like, come on, say it again, say it again.
Yeah. I would definitely in other circumstances for sure. I mean, I'm certainly not a medium, but I think there is something when you work with people for many years and you're open to it. And I've had lately, even in the past 6 months, more and more of these experiences. And I laugh at the shouting because I had a client recently and I can't remember the question, but it was like, is the feeling I'm getting from, where does it come from? And I had this name that was like shouted at me and I could see it in all caps, like
Wow.
in my mind's eye.
Yeah.
And I was like, and I gave her the name and she's like, oh, that's my grandmother's sister. She just died or something, just a couple months ago. That makes sense. But I had a little laugh to myself because obviously I'm, that this isn't my main headline, it's,
Mm.
it's Michelle Dixon, somatic therapist. So probably a little bit, I like better shout at her, but it was like, that's my name. And I imagine that you get different phenomenology over time because it's called often evidential mediumship, right? I
Mm.
hear that a lot, and I think that means Well, you can explain that you're supposed to give people
Yeah.
evidence.
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely. Readings without evidence are just hot air. They're
Yeah.
just nice ideas, and
Yeah.
they're filled full of doubt.
Yeah.
And maybe there's always an element of doubt in readings, and doubt is
Mm,
a good thing ultimately, because it
mm,
you know it the believing it comes from a place of doubt, doesn't it? Really.
mm.
So yeah, in terms of evidence, like when I sit with people, and I know it's commonly taught, if you're bringing through a loved one, you spend a good maybe 5 minutes, 10 minutes describing them, their life, their personality, things they went through, maybe talking about their job, their relationship to other people in their family. As I mentioned before, perhaps some regrets, things they might have wanted to do differently,
Yeah.
and you really sit with the person until you're comfortable that I seem to know more than I could possibly ever know about the
Yeah. Yeah.
situation.
Yeah. It's not on Facebook, you know? Yeah.
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 Similarly, if you're talking about someone's life, which most of the time when people come for readings, they want to find out what's going on about their life and in the future a little bit more than talking to loved ones.
Yeah. We're very, yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I'll spend a good bit of time just describing their current life situation
Mm.
without having any prior information, just so the person gets that validation that I am really connected into a source of information here, so that when we talk about the future of their life, they can start to consider how much they do or don't like what I'm saying, and how much they want to go in that direction or change the
Yeah,
direction.
because yeah, they always have the choice, don't they, to change direction. So
Yeah.
I have to ask about emotions. I wrote it down when you were speaking because I know it sounds like a crazy question, but spirits have emotions. Of course, it makes sense because, that's just emotions are a thing. But I guess I had this idea in my head that something about your emotional nature changes after you die. Something changes like but what you're describing are very human emotions of grief and sadness and regret.
Yeah. So it's my understanding that we're all love ultimately.
Mm,
When you talk about emotions and spirits having emotions, I believe we're all connected through love. Love is what brings us all together. And when you pass to the other side, a lot of the negative emotions that we have here, like fear, for example, is a good one. We don't take that with us.
mm,
We kind of it's like possibly even a sense of relief when you move on to the other side. It's like, oh my
mm.
goodness, thank God I'm out of that. No pun intended there. Thank God I'm out of that. Quite intense and
Yeah, I can
life
imagine. Yeah.
experience. Yeah,
Mm,
and but again, from my understanding, we go to a life review
mm.
after we've finished up here. I've listened to like hundreds of near-death experience stories, and I've
As have
had
I. Yeah.
yeah, I've had kind of spirits coming through and talk about how they're reviewing their lives. I've had spirits come through and talk about how they're up to here with textbooks. Metaphorically speaking, like running through all the decisions they made in their life and how they might want to change things. So as I understand it, they're reviewing their life from the other side, and they're deciding, what they did like and what they didn't like, and that they can experience what we experienced. They can still experience that feeling of sadness. They can experience some regret and some, I would change that if I did it next time. What I think is maybe different though, it doesn't come with this sense of punishment, and it doesn't come with this
Mm.
self-punishing kind of ongoing shame and self-hatred that the human body is so good at generating.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
That kind of wallowing in that forever judgment type thing. It's from a much more light-hearted kind of, oh, that is sad. Maybe I shouldn't have done that. Maybe I could have done that a bit better. And it's that kind of
Yeah.
place. And when they come through with these messages, often, not always, but often it comes with a sense of an apology and just, uh, any good relationship is repaired with a sincere, those kind of sincere sharing of feelings, that sincere exchange
Mm,
of emotions on both sides. So I think it's really
mm,
important that they do communicate in that way.
yeah. And so is there a sense in which they're always here? Because I think my understanding is maybe evolved, um, just through, years of reading. And then I had contact with my grandfather when he passed away when I was 17. He, I was doing a lot of, you probably heard of Robert Monroe and out of body experiences and
Mm,
that sort of thing. I was practicing it on my own as a teenager because I was fascinated, and I was able to drop into these meditative states and really kind of not quite leave my body. I think I had too much fear to leave my body at that age, and I was probably, now looking back, it's probably the wrong time because my brain was still developing, and for whatever reason I couldn't leave my body, but I was having these kind of quasi, like I was in an altered almost I was in a different dimension, like I was on the astral plane or I was coming out. Anyway, my grandfather died in the middle of all these experimentations. I was 17, and without going into that whole shock to the family and everything, I mentioned it a bit on my podcast before, but the first thing I did when I heard he'd passed is I went and I got myself in this meditative state, and suddenly he was in the room with me, but I didn't see him. But I could feel his hand, and it was like he was holding my hand as if like I was somehow partly out of my body, and I felt his hand like it was like a hand, It was like we were so real. It was so solid, and I could hear
mm,
his thoughts and mine saying, "Yeah, I'm okay. I'm all good. I'm around, and I think that gave me the impression that he's here, but he's not in the same dimension I am. That was the
mm.
feeling. That was the feeling I had. I wonder what your, yeah, evolving or your understanding of it is.
Yeah, that sounds really lovely. Was it lovely or was it terrifying? Which
It was
which way did it
absolutely
go?
lovely. It was amazing. It was really validating because I'd already at that 17 really didn't believe the finality of death, and I think that was a big confirmation. It helped that I had a precognition that he would die, that I'd written in my I had a dream about it, not about him, but that there was a family gathering and there was a sadness and someone was absent from Christmas dinner, that sort of thing. But yeah, it was I'm really grateful for it. I realize a lot of people don't have this, but it totally changed my relationship with death and life,
Mm,
and I didn't really think about it till years later when I started to read a lot of near death, but then, and people who lost loved ones would feel these presences, and it seemed to me like, oh, we're still here, but we must be in a different frequency or something.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you know, as I understand it as well, the trendy word at the moment going around is that we live in a simulation, right?
Yeah.
And
I
I
don't
don't
like
know.
that, but yeah.
Yeah, I was just about to say I don't know how helpful that is, but I'm moving along those lines with this thought where um, I believe we're in spirit, and that it's not that our body has a soul; it's that our body is inside of our soul, like our soul.
I love that so much.
Yeah, and it's I almost
Mm.
the visual. The reason for saying simulation is these like VR headsets that people
Yeah.
wear. I almost see us all as souls standing in a room, and some of us, like me and you right now, have these VR headsets on because we're playing the game of life, right? But your
Yeah.
grandfather, for example, he doesn't have that headset on, so he's walking around, he's next to you, he can whisper in your. And maybe I shouldn't say that, right? Because you don't want to hear that.
No, it's
He
okay. I don't
can,
mind. I mean, it's evening, but I'm at work, I'm not in bed,
yeah.
he can be there.
He
Yeah.
can pick up your hand and
Yeah.
hold your hand, and you've just got this VR headset on your eyes and ears and things, so you're just immersed,
Yeah.
going, "Wow, he's touching my hand. What's going on?" Completely unaware that actually, when we die and we take the headset off, we go, "Oh, I've been here the whole time, and you've been around me the whole time, and you've
Yes.
been whispering
Yeah,
guidance to me
yeah.
this whole
Yeah,
time."
yeah.
And so, yeah, that's kind of
Beautiful.
where I see it. I feel like it's you and me that are not um, at home. It's you and me that are not in the, I don't know, the baseline place, whereas they are. It's
Yeah.
we're not on the ground floor of the building, but they are. You know, we're on level
Yeah.
1 or 2 or 3.
Yeah. And yet grief is so real and so painful, and it's such a thing, and I think even my metaphysical worldview wouldn't save me from the grief of losing someone close to me. It's the thing about reality.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. I understand that as well. You know, sadly lost my dog a couple of weeks ago. He was 16
Oh,
years old. You know, it had been a long time, and
oh,
um, it's tough. You know, even you know, I can kind of say talk to him. I can connect with him. Might be a better way to put it. On the other side,
yeah.
but it doesn't change that tactile feeling of wanting his fur in my fingers. You know, it's I can feel his
And
heart next to me. I can feel his unwavering loyalty with me, which is very touching. But sometimes you just want to
you just
throw,
want to,
you know.
that's crazy, Cameron. I lost my cat 2 weeks ago.
Oh gosh, I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah. So that's a
Mm.
very fresh reference you've just made. I relate very much so. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. And I can feel her love. But again, it's like sometimes you just want to, you want that physical presence.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
absolutely. It's tough.
So with your therapy sessions, I guess, is it how else does spirit come in? Is it always someone who's passed over, or are there other contexts or other ways spirit speaks through you in your work?
I, I, I mean, they come through with like smells, sometimes tastes and things like this as well, and a sense of knowing. But I would say, what's really important, if I had advice, I guess, is to get into your body.
Hmm.
That's how they come to me mostly. If I'm too much in my head, even though they'll send me visual images, if I'm too much in my head, I'm blocking all the signals. You know, we live in a society where everybody is just in their head so much. I even think the phrase mental health is problematic. It's a problematic name we've
Hmm.
given it because
Yeah.
it puts all this pressure on the brain to do all the work of the whole body.
Hmm.
And I've seen so many people come to me, and you realize that their brain is just going 100 miles an hour trying to figure everything out, and the body is
Yeah.
just playing catch up. You know, you'll know this very well. You know, given your practice, and
Yeah.
ways I start. I guess the therapy I'm offering is a little bit more talking, although I do lean into somatics. So the way
Hmm.
I will start to move people's perspective is to remind them that we can think from more locations in our body than our head. You can, if you have a difficult decision coming up, maybe we could do this now as an experiment. But if you have a difficult decision coming up, you can, just to start, you can go to 3 places to get 3 different opinions about it. You can think
Hmm.
about your head. Head, what do you think? Let's say it's a job opportunity coming up. The head operates from a place of fear, because ultimately it operates from a place of survival and
Hmm.
just trying to keep us safe from tigers that would chase us in the
Yeah.
jungle, right? So your first reaction when you go to your head is, what might go wrong? What if I get this wrong? What am I going to do? What's my plan B? What's my plan C?
Hmm.
I need to think of all the ways this might go wrong so I can make sure this goes right. It's all
Hmm.
quite fear based. Whereas you can also ask your heart. You kind of try and imagine the focus of your thoughts. I don't know where you would see them in your body typically, but for me, they might naturally be somewhere between my eyes if I'm not thinking
Yeah.
about it.
Yeah.
You can sort of pull that focus down to your heart and almost look down if it helps and talk to your heart and say, well, what do you think about this job? And let's say it's a great opportunity coming up. Your heart is much more aligned with joy, a lot more aligned with fun, playfulness, growth, excitement. I would say more spiritual,
Hmm.
in terms of spiritually directional. And, it may
Mm,
well say, this is going to be great. If you get this job, like, how exciting is that going to be? Like, can you even imagine what it would be like a
mm,
year from now when you've got, all these responsibilities that you've always wanted, maybe some more money that you've been looking for, and that,
mm.
the heart's very good at pulling you towards what's meant for you. Whereas the
Right.
brain, the brain is more looking behind, trying to make sure nothing's coming for you. And then the other
Yeah.
place I try and pull people's attention to as well is the gut.
Yeah.
Maybe somewhere around the belly button. Um, if you can shift your focus down there again, what should I do about this job? Usually, if you can sink all the way down into your gut has
Mm,
I have a gut feeling about this. I have a knowing, and the gut can sometimes just come in and go, "Oh, you have
yeah.
to do this. You have to go for it. You have to go for it." And so just
Mm,
even that on its own can give you three different perspectives on a
yeah.
decision, and just help you feel more confident in your decision making, and that you're actually doing the right thing, and that maybe it doesn't need to
Mm,
be so frightening all the time because you're not
yeah.
in your head all the time.
Yeah. You don't need
You
to
know?
go to three different people. You can just check three different places in your body.
Mm, yeah, and so I really feel like spirit can't come to you until you're in your body. Um,
Yeah.
because when you're in that headspace, when you're in fear all the time, when you're in constant stress and anxiety,
Mm,
the signals just can't get through.
it can't get through. Yeah. Yeah. I've heard that, and I've heard and you can perhaps confirm this, that if someone is in a particular very intensely emotional stage of grief, um, it's difficult for spirit to communicate through that. There needs to be, I don't know, like a more of a parasympathetic, or more of a, I don't know what it is that needs to be, but I've
Yeah,
heard that it can be difficult to get through when they're in that intensity of it.
yeah, absolutely. I've experienced that recently. I had to take time out from giving readings after my dog died because it was just too
Yeah.
painful. I had to do a lot of crying, as you say, and
Mm,
getting that out of my body.
yeah.
Before I could kind of reopen up. And I guess from my experience, my unique experience of what you're describing there is that when I open to spirit during that time, it's just him. Like I can't see or get to anybody else because he's just right there. He wants to know so desperately that he's not gone. Like he misses what we had as well on Earth, and he wants it back, and he just wants me to know constantly that I'm still here, I'm still here, I'm still here, I'm still here. He's feeling the separation in a way as well, and that was my biggest block. So it was the need for that somatic release,
Yeah.
and that kind of forming that new relationship, processing that how how the world looks now. It's
Yeah.
fundamentally different on this side and on that side, and I couldn't,
Yeah.
I couldn't get past him now. At that point.
Yeah. I, it's, yeah, remarkable, because I've just gone through that with my cat as well. So yeah,
My,
yeah,
my
it's
my interpretation of the grief is that obviously there is oh, dare I say it, logical sadness for
mm,
processing what's happened, but on a more
yeah,
spiritual level, you are feeling them. Like that sensation of grief is just how close they are to you.
yeah,
Imagine if you go back to the virtual reality headset, we're all standing in a room. What's like, your past loved one is giving you a hug standing up, and you don't know
mm,
what's going on because you've got the virtual reality headset. But my God, do you feel their warmth as they're
yeah,
standing right next to you, hugging you? So it's like it's so close, yet I can't get to it. And that's my
yeah.
kind of my take on it.
Do you experience that our loved ones or our loved animals then can become kind of part of our team, or part of our guidance, or just our support network? I say this because I imagine, not all of your clients are coming to see you for grief. They might be there for a variety of reasons, and yet still there might be a loved one coming through, not because that client has grieved or recently lost that person, but because grandma so and so, is just wanting you to know blah 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 blah. And is there that as well?
You mean they've been called to hear a message?
Or just that the loved one is actually just there to support the person through something that isn't related to the loved one's actual death and the grief. So someone might come to you for completely different reason. Like they might come to you because they're navigating career change. And yet a loved one from the other side is coming through to offer support, insight, guidance.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, and
Yeah.
it's usually the right person as well who shows up. So
Mm.
uh I've received readings like this, for example, from other people where I might be feeling a bit beat up. I've had a couple of failures recently in career and things like this, and I'm feeling a bit sorry for myself, and like I need to get back on the bicycle or back on the horse again, but I don't want to. And I maybe have a reading and I want someone maybe quite mothering or nurturing to come through and just kind of give me a hug, and what, who'll turn up is maybe my stern grandmother, who was quite a driver and quite strict, and she had a bit of a come on, you can do it, like stop
Yeah, that
bothering,
was
you
her
need to push
personality.
harder.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Love.
and that's and what they're really telling me is, you can't give up. You have to keep going. It's what I need to hear in that moment, ultimately.
Mm.
So yeah, it's no accident. When she turns up now, when I go to a reading and she turns up, I think, oh God, here we go.
Oh no, yeah, it's not gonna be the warm fuzzy
Yeah.
that I was
Well,
hoping for. Yeah, it's the
and
truth.
it's also a symbol of, right, the next few months are going to be busy. It's like, right, I need to pick myself up here, and I need to, she's going to tell me, come on, now we have to go. Now's the time to put your foot down.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
so yeah, it's often not an accident, kind of who comes through in
Mm.
readings. And yeah, I mean, all kinds can come through. Spirit guides can come through as well, to kind of
Ah,
give
I'm
people
curious
direction.
about that, spirit guides. Like how many? I love this question. I don't know how many guides or how many people do we have around us? I heard Bashar recently, Bashar. I think a lot of
Yeah,
people know
yeah.
Bashar. Daryl Anka's channels Bashar. He said, "Oh, like we probably have 100," and I'm like, 100? Like, are they even fitting in the room? I mean, maybe not all at what time, but what do you have an opinion or an experience as to how much support and guidance we have? It seems to be a lot.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, it is a lot as well. And um, so, as I understand it, you have one main spirit guide who's with you from birth till death, all the way
Yeah.
through. And they're kind of your main guide. But as you said, hundreds can come through. Different spirit guides have different specialties, and they can arrive at different times. Um, and your family and friends that you knew on Earth can jump into that role as well. So I've had two very important mentors and teachers for me in my life have passed away in the last kind of 5 years. They both come through and
Mm.
told me they're committed to being spirit guides now for the rest of my life with me, which is just, it's
Oh,
lovely. Yeah, it's so
yeah.
touching. And it's the reason, one of the reasons we struggle a bit with this, I think, is this idea of time. On
Mm.
the other side, there is no time. It doesn't work like that. Everything is happening all at once. Time is a
It's
human,
hard to comprehend that.
yeah, time is a human kind of concept, that we create. So they have a much better
Mm.
view of kind of past, present, future, than we do, and they can be in multiple places at the same time for that reason, because time is completely different. It's a very, very difficult concept to grasp.
It is
You know,
very difficult. Yeah.
the best way I've heard it, well, maybe I've heard a few ways, but one good way that comes to mind is if you can think about your own life and how there is no such, there's only ever now.
Mm.
That's it. That's all you ever have in your whole life, is this never ending now. There is no future and past, really. It's not someplace you can go visit or go and do anything with. Everything for you, everything is happening right now, and it's
Mm.
always happening now. And that's, from my understanding of kind of Bashar, as you say, he's a great teacher, and reading various, books in this. That's my understanding is on the other side, everything is now. Everything that includes past, present, and future. It's all in the eternal now.
Yeah, I feel like I think I understand it conceptually, but I also feel like my human brain doesn't have the capacity to fully grasp it. Like I can't grasp it
Yeah.
experientially. I can't go, oh yeah, I can imagine that. I can understand the concept, you know?
Mm.
But yeah, what's been the most surprising thing for you in your journey through this work?
Yeah, there's a few. I would go to authenticity. I would say that the realization that living your best authentic self, right? I know it's a bit of a
Mm,
cheesy catchphrase, but genuinely, when you go to that space, there's so much peace and happiness and love and joy that can just, like, life becomes
mm,
easy. I feel like it's something we're grown up and taught to ignore. Don't quit, keep pushing harder. Climb, I don't know, a career ladder in a job in an industry you're not too passionate about. Which was me. And
yeah.
just keep pushing, pushing, pushing. Don't think, just do, just do, just do. And for
Mm,
me, I guess I never would have believed that living my best authentic life, there's that catchphrase again, would actually lead me to a life where I would be supported financially, emotionally, and be happy. Really, it's a
mm,
difficult one to grasp, and it's been challenging all along the way as well. Oftentimes, I've not believed this is. You have to take leaps of faith and things, and you think this isn't going to work. This isn't going to work.
yeah.
Everything.
Yeah.
What about my
Mm,
pension? What about the stock market? What about and actually, these are all
mm.
concepts we're taught to hold on to. But the more you let go and relax back into your natural self, the easier life gets. If that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, I've only recently come to that conclusion really about authenticity, that that's really the purpose of your life, if you want to,
Mm,
say purpose, that we were all born with innate gifts and qualities, and it's like you're given this gift of this life and this body and this personality, and your only purpose is just to be that. Just be that. And how does spirit communicate that? How have you learned it? I mean, has it just been like it's come through again and again and again that the advice loved ones are giving your clients has to do with be more you, and that's just over time?
yeah,
It's yeah.
it's definitely part of it. Through my own personal therapy as well, part of it. See, and all kinds of like reading up on the issue as well. The there's a it's quite simple in reality, though. I'm deliberately oversimplifying this, so I know it can be complicated. But you get excited about certain things in your life. One of your happiest memories is doing this basically somatic work on a swing when you were younger,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
look,
Yeah.
look, the clues are there. The blueprint for your
Mm,
life, the breadcrumbs are laid by spirit towards your happiest life, and look where it's got you,
mm,
and how happy you are
mm.
doing what you're doing. It's not an accident that you feel good about these things. It's deliberate that you feel good about
Yeah.
these things. We
Yeah.
we seem to we seem to think that life needs to be punishing, otherwise it's not rewarding, and it's not a life worth living if it's not hard. And I don't know, just all these messages get wrapped up in
Mm,
society and the news and all these kind of places, and so we end up choosing to live a torturous life because we think a tortured life is the way we're supposed to live in a way. I know I am really simplifying this. I know it's difficult times. There's money pressures and all kinds at the moment, but for a lot of people. But the things you're excited about and the things I'm excited about are a little bit different, and they're different for a reason. They are
Mm.
the breadcrumbs of our purpose and our path. And if
Yeah.
you just keep following the breadcrumbs and keep eating the breadcrumbs, it's a happy life. It's the way it's supposed to be. Spirit are very loving, and they want love for everyone. As you say,
Mm.
one of the goals I believe too is returning back to your authentic self. That's why we come here. That's why we play this game. That's why we put the virtual reality headset on, to forget who we are and see how long will it take me to remember who I am in spirit inside of this game.
Yeah.
And returning to our authentic selves is the way to do that. Spirit, they want
Mm.
us to experience what they experience on earth, and
Yeah.
those are the clues.
I always feel so touched to think, that we have this like cheer squad around us, at all times, helping and supporting, even when we can't see it, helping us, you know. I mean, I feel that sometimes, but it's you can't you don't always feel it, and there's so many times when you feel alone. I mean, there's so many times I felt so alone and, you know, even abandoned. And to think, there is actually support for you all the time. It's like, how do you suggest people kind of get in touch with that, to feel that, learn how to sense it?
Yeah. Are you familiar with synchronicities?
Oh, yes.
Yeah. I'd say that's a pretty fun way of doing it, a good way to do it. A
Mm.
really simple the starter pack for synchronicities, right? Page one, item one on the list is numbers, right? Seeing numbers, random
I see
numbers
numbers all the
everywhere.
time. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Seeing
yeah.
111 on the clock, 222, 333, 1234. If someone's new to this, that's the first place I'll point them to. I'll say, like, if you want to feel closer, if you want some more evidence that people are around you, interfering with your game that you're playing in a good way, interference,
Yeah, yeah.
start asking them for just simple changes in the day.
Mm,
The first thing is, show me some numbers, and you'll just suddenly start to see numbers appearing all the time. And
mm.
there's lots of things you can do where you kind of ask spirit to get involved. A good one for me is like the radio or music songs coming on with
Yeah.
just the right lyrics in just the right moment, and that really makes me laugh every time they do that.
Yeah, me
And
too. Yeah, I get a lot of those. Or billboards, like when I'm driving, like you'll see a billboard, there'll be a
yeah,
line of it. Yeah.
for a big one for me is aircraft. I used to work in that industry, and I don't anymore, but I'm somewhere near an airport, and I stepped out this morning a little bit nervous about our conversation. Healthy nerves, nothing
Healthy
wrong with that.
nerves.
And
Yeah.
as I stepped outside, this plane just started to bank, and it almost did a full circle right around me in the sky. A huge aircraft, and I just stared at it, and I thought, oh, today's gonna be a good day. That was Spirit's way of just sort of
Yeah.
nudging me a little bit to say, you're not on your own today. We're with you. We're backing you.
Yeah. That's so
So things like
beautiful.
that.
That's so beautiful.
Mm.
Um, I really feel how much you love your work. You love working with people and working with spirit. And I guess these gifts just keep developing, right? Have you noticed changes? And I guess, have you noticed changes in yourself, in perception? I also want to make sure that I ask, have you noticed changes in your clients? Like, are people more open to it? Are people having different kinds of experiences? Like, I think we share a belief that everyone has innate abilities to
Hmm.
connect. But
Yeah.
I'm also wondering about the evolution of that. So yeah, I guess my question is about changes.
Yeah. And I think this might summarize your questions as well, where it kind of comes back to that authenticity, that kind of reminding ourselves who we are. For me, the natural default is being able to communicate with spirit
Mm,
regularly and being in
yeah.
touch with all the experiences. And where we become unable to do that are all the human blocks that we develop through our lives, all the armor that we put on, all the guards, the
Yeah.
fears that we have, the
Mm.
um, the self-doubt, self-hatred, the shaming, blaming, all this kind of negativity that we accumulate through our childhood and our adulthood really as well.
Mm.
So this is kind of what gets in the way, and I've definitely noticed that as I've started to drop the armor one piece at a time and work on myself, work on my fears, work on my things that are holding me back, things that are keeping me
Mm.
stuck, I'm more able to see what's already there, which is this kind of spiritual background noise, if you like. So I think
Mm.
the changes that we can all work on in a way are trying to better understand, why am I not living my authentic self? What's holding me back today? If I heard a phrase. I mean, it's quite a common one, but I heard it the other day, and it really touched me in that moment. And it was that phrase of, if say you're going into a challenging situation, you're not sure what to do. If you knew everything was going to work out for your greatest good, how would you act differently? And for me, that phrase really strips away the fear. It gives you an alternative model
Yeah.
to look at. Well, if everything I knew everything was going to work out good, then I would jump at it, and I
Mm.
would stop worrying about it. I'd stop thinking about it, and I would just go do it. And it's trying to remember that that is the natural state of things. Is that
Yeah.
everything's always trying to work out for your highest good. The reason it may be not working is because you're holding on to a lot of like blocks and a lot of fear and a lot of
Mm.
other things that are just slowing everything down, getting everything tangled, and stopping progress.
Yeah. It's this idea that everything's happening for you, not to you. It's just something I really love.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah. I guess this is a curious kind of last question. Do you ever get any information coming through that has any suggestions about where we're going collectively, like as humans, on the planet, at any level? It doesn't have to be politics or, the environment, but even just, I don't know, the soul.
Yeah, yeah. So um, oh gosh, how to go around this? So a few things jumping into my head as you mentioned
Yeah,
that there.
take your
So
time. It's a big question.
there's yeah, yeah. What's in store for humanity? So I think you asked this question as well a minute ago. I'm not sure I answered. Where more and more people are awakening to this,
Yeah.
to spirituality, to connecting with spirit. There's more kind of psychic mediums in society now than we know there's been in recent times. And I've had spiritual teachers who were teachers in the 90s. They say to me, like, you couldn't talk about it back then. You couldn't really
Yeah.
publicize your name anywhere, and there was nobody really doing it. Whereas now, kind of, there's so many people doing it.
Yeah.
It's much more accessible, and I think it's deliberate. I think there's a lot of negativity in the world at the moment.
Mm.
There's a lot, the weighing scales are out of balance a little bit. We're being tipped towards the negative, I think, a little bit more, and spirit are trying to
Mm.
desperately counterbalance that by helping another mass of people wake up and realize what we're here and why we're trying to do this and why everything's so crazy right now at the moment. And
Yeah.
I honestly believe as well, that's one of the reasons that we're seeing such an increase in autism and ADHD and other types of how can I phrase this, like personality
Neurodivergence, different
sensitivities.
ways of, yeah.
Yeah, because these I recognize myself in some of them as well, and these people are more sensitive, they're more attuned, and
Mm.
a lot of those kind of people are struggling right now because they're being like a square peg being fit into a round hole. They're being forced into a way of working that worked for people in the 1960s and 70s when some of these conditions were not as prevalent. But spirit doesn't work that way. Spirit doesn't have a 9 to 5 with an email inbox with 100 emails a day. Spirit's much more creative and fluid and go with the flow.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. So I think what you're saying is maybe we're seeing, just so much more neurodivergence as kind of an evolutionary impulse to change how we organize society, in so many different
Absolutely.
ways, I mean, I love to focus on complaining about corporate life just because I, I have had so many clients who that's been their crucible. And I think to some extent, I mean, yours wasn't exactly corporate, but to some extent, these particular models of work life, they're, as you say, they came into the world at a time and a place, and maybe we're outgrowing them, but they've still got a grip, and people go into them, and sometimes you can go along well for a while and make money and so on, but inevitably it seems to create enormous stress, essentially,
Yeah.
and take people away from their gifts. So I've also been curious about, as you say, like neurodivergence, and maybe it's this evolutionary shift to shift us out of the standard operating system, operating manual for
Yeah.
the world. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think you're right. I think we're going to see more communities opening up. I think we're going to see more sharing of skills and resources in communities without getting so focused on monetary gain. I think we're starting to see it in society. I saw a report the other day that an airline company in America is gone kind of broke. And I mean, I don't think this is going to be successful, but it indicates a change of movement where people are pulling together, like just general people in the public are pulling together all their resources to potentially buy out this airline company and have it owned by the people rather than an organization or by shareholders or investors or things like this. And as I
Yeah.
say, I'm not sure the system is going to allow that. We'll see what happens, but it shows a mindset change, a movement away. People are getting tired of corporations as well. People are getting tired of all the money moving to the top, all the billionaires getting richer. Even in corporations as well, my own experience shows that we're moving away from a customer focused view of service and delivery of products
Mm.
into a shareholder view of profits. We corporations more and more are losing sight that normally a business is there to deliver joy to a customer, right?
To a
A
customer.
service to a
Yeah.
customer, and
Yeah.
we're just moving away from that. We're moving into delivering profits into the pockets of investors. We've become so detached
Yeah.
from helping each
Yeah.
other and our community
Yeah.
of ourselves, that people are getting fed up. I think
Yeah. And it feels like a
changes are happening.
crisis point. And so when you say spirit is, because you said earlier, you felt like spirit was trying to come through and sort of redress this imbalance, away from the negativity. Does that feel like what's happening? Are you getting messages, or are people getting messages saying, look at the positives, look at the innovations, look at the potential of humans? Is that how they're kind of trying to redirect people's minds? Or are they saying you can't focus, you can't go down a rabbit hole of despair and doom and gloom because that's not going to bode well?
Yeah, absolutely. Both. You've nailed it. I'm thinking of a couple of readings I had recently where the sometimes the way they'll bring it to me is almost the world splitting in two, and they'll paint a picture of one world being cars in a city, concrete everywhere, pollution everywhere, smog, smoke, and then they'll paint this other picture of nature and sunshine and rainbows. They're kind of exaggerating to make a point, to make the
Yeah.
communication clear for me, but that's how they show it to me. And with these two people I can think of in particular, you know, they generally say, don't worry. How can I put this? Like, I might ask them for help now. Like, don't worry about kind of the old world is what they say. Don't worry about the concrete, the smog, the pollution, all that kind of thing. Like, just keep your heart focused on the direction of love and light, focused on the direction of nature. You just keep focusing on the rainbows and the sunshine, and they talk about the split in a way I don't know how literal it is or how metaphorical it is when they come through for
Yeah.
me. But there's a big sense that it's already done. There's
Yeah.
not that we don't need to do very much now. Just live in our own happiness. You can kind of live in a bubble. You don't need to invite if Donald Trump, right, is a great one to pick. If he's winding you up and just upsetting you all the time, then mute him, block him.
Yeah. Don't,
You know what I mean. Don't watch it.
don't focus on
Just
it.
yeah, there are people who are here to experience the challenges of that life. Let them get on with it. You're not here to experience those challenges. So just kind of there's that permission coming through to create your own bubble of your own, sanctuary. Maybe you've got your own little garden in your house, and
Yeah.
you just make your flowers pretty and enjoy the sunshine when it comes around. And
Yeah.
there's that real permission to focus on your joy, focus on your heart.
Yeah.
Let your experience guide you that way, and don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it. And that does help, doesn't it? I mean, I'm interested in that it's already split, because I've heard other people say this. Like there's already a split, and maybe some people we know, like maybe even some of our family members, are living on a separate timeline, but we can still see them. We still share a universe, but so I'm interested in that. You don't have to say anything more. I just wanted to say that's very
Yeah.
interesting. You're not the first person who said it. But the other thing you said seems to be like Spirit is saying it's enough to focus on the joy. I don't get the feeling they're saying it's enough just for your own good. Is there an element that it's enough that also contributes to some kind of positive evolution in the world? Or am I just projecting that's what I want? That's what I want it to be about,
Yeah, you're absolutely dead right. It does contribute in a huge way, because when you do that, there's like a fabric to all this, and when you do that and you rest into your joy, you spread that around in the fabric. How else can I put this? Like spirit, there's some rules to this game, and one of the main rules is that spirit cannot interfere
Interfere, yes, yeah,
with your free
yeah,
will.
yeah,
I think there are some probably caveats at quite a high level that I'm not aware of where they can and do
yeah.
interfere. But ultimately, they want us to know that it's our free will. We get to choose what we're doing, and they respect that. But they want to help all the time. That's why I mentioned earlier, like ask your guides to see clues, numbers. You can also give them permission to help you that day. You really want to see your life change quick. Wake up every morning, and the first thing you say is, right, spirit team, assemble, help me out
Yes.
today. Help me out, help me figure out what I need to help out today, what I need to work out today, and you do that every day, and things will start to change quickly because you've allowed them permission to come in. And what stops them coming in are the blocks, the fear, the paranoia, this clinging to anxiety. Oh, I have to control everything. I have to do this all myself. Oh, if nobody does this, I'm going to have to do it, because if I don't do it, nobody will do it.
Yeah.
And they can't penetrate that. That's you putting out quite a strong force field of your own free will. I'm going to maximize my free will, but I'm going to control everything I can possibly can. I'm not going to let anyone interfere with this. And so if you could going back to that scenario, if you can imagine a shield which spirit want to penetrate to come and help us with, when you relax into your joy, they can get through, and it spreads around you, and it spreads into the people that you're with. But the more blocks you have, the more control you have, the more other people are blocking and control. You're all putting together these shields above your head, if you like, one way to imagine it, and spirit can't break through. So it's definitely enough to just do that. You're definitely doing more for the greater good than just yourself. And the other thing they're kind of getting through is that sometimes people may have this idea that they have to save the world. They might panic about all the terrible things going on in the world. I have to do more. I have to do something. I have to do more. But the reality is, if you're meant to do, like the people who are meant to do more are doing more, and they know they're meant to do more. They've been given the tools, the gifts, the opportunities, the people, the connections, the networking, the mother and father. They've been given all those things they needed to get that stuff done. If your highest joy is telling you to do the gardening, you can just relax into that and rest.
Just do the gardening. Yeah.
Yeah, the whole world's survival is not based on you. And actually, the more you sit there and worry and worry and worry about it, the more you bring in that controlling mindset, the more you almost start manifesting more worry in your life. You're using your free will to do that. And so
Yeah.
there really is this huge kind of wave of permission to go back to the body, to follow the breadcrumbs that your spirit guides are giving you through your highest joy. And maybe your job is to save the world, but you won't get there by thinking about it a lot in your living room or in bed at night. You'll get there by starting something very small that turns into something else very small, that over a year, over 5
And it
years, over
ripples
10
out
years.
like a stone thrown into a pond, right? Because that's how
Yeah.
it can happen too. You could start your garden and then that inspires your neighbor to plant tomatoes. And then, there's a ripple effect, pay it forward. Yeah, I love that. I mean, I do believe that. And I do have people in my life who get so stressed and overwhelmed, and they're like, but we have to do something, and there are these people dying, and it's like, yes, and if you feel called to do something, absolutely, but also it's enough to, love your child, be a
Oh,
good
so
role model
important.
to them. Be there when they're in pain. Give your pet a good home, like all these things also matter. And it's a fine line between kind of being aware enough in the world to kind of know, okay, there's this stuff going down and, okay, this is what's happening, and overexposing yourself so that you can't function. As you say, there are people who are, innately, their temperament is that they will be activists. They will be doing things. And maybe that's you. And if you feel like, oh gosh, I just feel this real desire to have a food drive or something, great, do it. But yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, I love what you're
Yeah.
saying. Yeah.
Yeah, I love what you said as well about love your child. I mean, goodness, how overlooked can
Yeah.
that be sometimes?
Oh,
You want to talk about ripple effect. I mean,
mm,
the way you love your child goes on to it builds their and shapes their whole life, but then it goes into their grandkids and then their grandkids. It can go on for generations, and it can bleed into all the people that they meet throughout their lives as well, and all
yeah,
the work
yeah,
that they do to help people. So
yeah,
yeah, that's often overlooked and right under, a parent's nose. That's a big one. That's a great
yeah,
way to.
for sure. I mean, mom here, like I've spent so much of my life raising children. I was like a late in life career person because I was really focused on that. But and it is so overlooked, but it's so
Mm,
important, and I look at my young adults now and who they are as people and the relationships we have, and I go, yeah, it's all worth it, it's not something that's obvious that people can see like a car or a house, but it's still a thing,
yeah.
it's yeah, it is important. Yeah. Well, gosh, such an interesting conversation, and love the work you do. Do you want to tell us a little bit about like how you work with people and how people can find you?
Yeah, sure. So yeah, if anything I said resonates, and you feel called to want to have a conversation with me, you can get me on Instagram and Facebook at Cameron Psychic Medium. And I really help people with quite an array of things. It's finding life purpose, finding the right track, how to get onto the right track. That would be as a headline, but along the way there are blocks. That's ultimately it's what are all the blocks stopping us in the way? What are the things that I'm focusing on that maybe I shouldn't be focusing on? It's that's kind of where it can help. So give those nudges and help prioritize that focus.
Great. All the info will be in the show notes too. And if anyone has any questions for Cameron, if you're a member of my Still Point community, which is the paid Substack, there's a dedicated post and you can ask some questions and we'll get in touch with Cameron. But thank you so much for having this conversation. It's been really good. Thank you.
It's been great. Yeah, I've really enjoyed it. Yeah, thank
Yeah.
you.